Back in the 1990s and early 2000s, Tyra Banks was one of the most famous names in the modeling industry. She was a trailblazer, breaking boundaries for black women everywhere. Tyra was the first black woman to join the Victoria's Secret Angels, grace the cover of GQ, and be featured on the cover of the Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue. She was also the creative force behind the groundbreaking show America's Next Top Model. But as her fame grew, so did the controversy. The once celebrated supermodel found herself accused of body-shaming the very young models who looked up to her, and she gained a reputation for being difficult to work with, and strangely enough, she seemed to have vanished from the public eye with not much being said about her anymore. So where could she be now? Stick around to find out. Welcome back to another episode of The Bizarre Society. Today we're diving deep into the supermodel Tyra Banks. Long before Tyra Banks became a household name, she was just a young girl with big dreams, growing up in Inglewood, California. Born on December 4, 1973, Tyra Lynn Banks was raised by a single mother, Carolyn London, who worked as a medical photographer. Tyra's early years were far from the glamorous world she would later inhabit. She often spoke about being teased for her tall, skinny frame and large forehead, features that would eventually become her trademark on the runway. Despite the teasing, Tyra's confidence began to bloom during her teenage years. At just 15, she was discovered by a modeling scout while still in high school. But the path to stardom wasn't without its bumps. Rejected by several agencies who told her she didn't have what it took, Tyra's persistence finally paid off when she was signed by Elite Model Management. By 17, she had moved to Paris to pursue her modeling career full-time, a decision that would mark the beginning of her meteoric rise in the fashion industry. Tyra's debut on the international stage was nothing short of spectacular. During her first season in Paris, she booked a record 25 shows, a feat that had never been achieved by a new model. Her success in Paris catapulted her into the upper echelons of the fashion world, where she quickly became a favorite of top designers like Yves Saint Laurent, Chanel, and Dior. But Tyra's influence extended far beyond the runway. In an industry dominated by Eurocentric beauty standards, she broke barriers for black women, becoming the first African American to grace the covers of GQ and the Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue. As one of the original Victoria's Secret Angels, Tyra also became the first black woman to land a multi-million-dollar contract with the lingerie giant, solidifying her status as a trailblazer. Jay Manuel, who served as the creative director on ANTM for 18 seasons, is one of the most prominent voices to speak out about his experience working with Tyra. In his 2020 novel, which is a fictionalized account inspired by his time on the show, Manuel alluded to the toxic environment on set. While promoting his book, Manuel clarified in interviews that his relationship with Tyra had grown strained over the years, particularly as he began to feel that his creative contributions were being overshadowed by Tyra's dominant presence. In an interview with Manuel, discussed how the show's direction often conflicted with his personal values, particularly when it came to some of the controversial challenges and critiques Tyra would endorse. He stated that although Tyra was instrumental in his career, the working relationship had its challenges. "There were times when I felt that I was overstepping my bounds or speaking out of turn because the tone on set was very much controlled," he said. This comment reflects the environment where many felt they had to conform to Tyra's vision, even when it crossed lines. Another former co-judge, Paulina Poroskova, also publicly commented on her difficult experience with Tyra. Poroskova, a supermodel in her own right, joined ANTM as a judge in 2008, replacing Twiggy. However, her stint on the show was short-lived, as she was fired after just 2 seasons. In a 2010 interview with Poroskova did not hold back when asked about her departure. She revealed that she had been dismissed via a phone call from Tyra's team on her birthday, which she found unprofessional and disheartening. Poroskova implied that Tyra's decision to let her go stemmed from insecurity and jealousy, stating, "I think that my little baby burst Tyra's ego. I said some things that she didn't like, and I have a feeling that's why I got the boot." Now, the most controversial of all were the incidents involving the models on the show. Tyra was caught saying very questionable things to some of the contestants. Back then, when the show aired, the world was not as sensitive or strict on certain expressions. But when people began to re-watch the show in 2020, these comments were brought to light. In today's world of inclusivity, Tyra definitely faced the music for it. One of the most infamous incidents of body shaming occurred during the show's 6th cycle in 2006. Tyra Banks infamously told contestant Danielle Evans, who had a gap between her front teeth, that she would need to close the gap if she wanted to have a successful career in modeling. Tyra's exact words were, "Do you really think you can have a CoverGirl contract with a gap in your mouth?" Years later in 2020, Danielle Evans, who eventually won that cycle of ANTM, addressed the incident on Instagram, explaining how the comment made her feel pressured to conform to industry standards that didn't align with her self-image. Evans revealed that while she ultimately chose not to close her gap entirely, the experience had a lasting impact on her sense of self-worth. Another notable incident involved Cycle 15 contestant Liz Williams. In one episode, Williams, who was dealing with postpartum depression and a changing body after childbirth, was criticized for her weight gain. Tyra's critique that Williams was not model size was seen by many as dismissive of the real struggles faced by women, especially in an industry that places such a high premium on thinness. Another issue was the blackfacing. In the show, models were made to paint their faces black or white during challenges. This practice, which might have been overlooked back then, has been heavily criticized in today's more socially aware climate. Celebrities and shows have been severely criticized for blackfacing, and ANTM has not been spared. In response to the backlash, Tyra Banks has occasionally addressed the criticisms publicly. In a series of tweets in 2020, Tyra expressed regret for some of the past decisions made on ANTM, stating, "I've been seeing the posts about the insensitivity." While she has issued apologies for some of the more egregious incidents, such as the blackface photo shoot and the comments about Danielle Evans' gap, many believe that these apologies have come too late and that they failed to fully address the harm caused. In 2020, Banks made a surprising return to television as the new host of Dancing with the Stars, replacing longtime host Tom Bergeron and Erin Andrews. Her appointment was met with mixed reactions, with some fans praising her energy and charisma, while others criticized her hosting style. Rumors of Tyra being difficult to work with resurfaced during her time on Dancing with the Stars. An anonymous source from the production team claimed that Tyra's demanding nature and controlling behavior made the working environment challenging. The source described instances where Tyra allegedly insisted on having the final say on various production decisions, often clashing with the crew over creative differences. Similar criticisms had been voiced by people like Jay Manuel and Paulina Poroskova regarding their experiences working with Tyra on America's Next Top Model, adding to the public backlash against the former supermodel. Now, the once celebrated supermodel is no longer as prominent in the public eye, which begs the question, where is she now? Did all the hate and backlash bury her shine? Well, Tyra Banks hasn't disappeared completely, she's just shifted her focus. In 2016, Tyra stepped down from her role as the host of America's Next Top Model to concentrate on other endeavors, though she later returned to host the 24th cycle in 2018. This decision marked a significant turning point in her career, as she began to move away from being in front of the camera to focus more on her personal life and behind-the-scenes projects. One of the most profound changes in Tyra's life came in 2016 when she became a mother. After facing difficulties with fertility, Tyra welcomed her son, York Banks Asla, through surrogacy. In various interviews, she's spoken about how motherhood has transformed her perspective, softening some of her more public-facing ambitions and giving her a deeper sense of purpose beyond her career. Meanwhile, Tyra has also been busy with entrepreneurial ventures, such as launching her ice cream brand, Smize Cream, in 2021 and focusing on producing and developing content behind the scenes. Though she may not be in the spotlight as often as she once was, her influence continues through these quieter yet impactful efforts. While the shine of her supermodel days in front of the camera may have dimmed in the public eye, Tyra Banks is still actively working behind the cameras. And that's all we have for today. What are your thoughts on Tyra and how some of her past comments have not aged well? Do you think Tyra's legacy will be defined by her groundbreaking achievements or by the controversies that have surfaced in recent years? Also, what do you think about the recent changes in modeling standards and the whole inclusivity movement? If you enjoyed today's video, tap the link to watch our recent feature on Tyla, the new pop star who's making waves and redefining what water means. See you next time.